This is Tiger Cats postgame on the Ticats Audio Network.
Well, we basically know as much as we did when we went into the game, and that's the Ticats will host the East Semi. But, boy, one team going home happy, the other, I'm not sure, maybe a lot to figure out. But the Hamilton Tiger Cats winners today here at Tim Hortons Field, the final 24-3 over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Louie B alongside Andy Fantuz for Tiger Cats postgame. Lots coming up. We'll get an exclusive interview with Coach O. We'll talk to Simoni Lawrence. We'll name our performer of the game. We'll revisit Andy's CarStar keys to victory, and we'll have a postgame roundtable when former Ticat Courtney Stephen drops by. Oh, yeah, and by the way, giving away a pair of gold seats to see the Ticats take on the Alouettes in the East Division semifinal. Something we'll do tonight, and then something we'll do all next week on Ticats Today. But, Andy, we kind of said it at the half. We had seen everything we wanted to see in a game like this. The Ticats had a big lead defensively, offensively, even special teams. A lot of improvement from last week.
It certainly was. They looked sharp from the beginning to the end today. And even when Dane came in the second half, the offense was still clicking. He threw a couple interceptions, unfortunately, but other than that, like the defense played great all game long, and most of the starters stayed in there as well throughout the game. So it was clear that the message was in the Ticat locker room that we're just preparing to play for the playoffs, and we're keeping our guys out there, and we're going to just roll right through.
Dane Evans finishing the game 10 of 16, 126 yards. He threw that touchdown pass to Speedy B, kind of shades of 2019. Dane Evans to number 16 on a nice little catch there. He did throw 2 interceptions, but I think you and I were talking about this. It just seems like they're not really good. He's going to not like the fact that they show up in his stats column at year end. They'll review it, what went wrong, what happened. But I think more for Dane Evans, I don't think anyone really cared about the stats. It was just kind of building chemistry, getting real-time reps, getting actual guys coming after you on the field. And, I think the Ticats got to be happy with what they saw from Dane.
Yeah, you got to be so excited about that first drive of the third quarter when he took the team all the way down and clapped it off with that Speedy B touchdown. So knowing that you can be in a situation in the following weeks where he could come in and give you a spark potentially, or take over if need be, and not really lose a step. So that was great to see. And but Jeremiah just looked outstanding in that first half, and continues to get better and better as the weeks goes on. It seems like, other than the odd, the first half last week wasn't great, but between the second half of the Toronto game and the first half of tonight's game, you got over 500 yards passing. So pretty impressive showing, and it was just a sharp performance overall for this team. And like you said, I think Saskatchewan's going to be going home with more questions than answers, you want to be on this side of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we saw Darius Sirocco out there for the first series. He was out. Obviously, he's been a question mark the last few weeks. But, we were speaking with the enemy, with Luke Molinder in the first half, and he had said, there are really only a couple of guys on the Saskatchewan team that he'd be worried about. And one of them, St. John, did end up leaving the game. And, I think for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the Calgary Stampeders are coming to town. And not to discount, the Montreal Alouettes. They've beaten the Ticats here at this stadium before this season. So, but if you're the Ticats, you had to get that bad taste out of your mouth from that Toronto game. And again, defensively, offensively, yes, there were still some things, special teams. I think Pappy White may have been able to break loose if it hadn't been, Simoni Lawrence, who was his lead blocker on that last return, because it did look like Simoni was kind of, again, special teams, not what he was playing, and he is the Ticats. I guess he can do whatever he wants. He's the Ticats' all-time leading tackler. But to just talk about that, you were teammates with Simoni. To speak positively of Simoni here, you were teammates with him. What does it mean to see, the team's all-time tackle record fall?
Well, it's incredible. I never had a chance to play with Rob Hitchcock, but my understanding and what I do know of him is he is a great leader and was a great teammate and player. But Simoni is a guy that I look up to in many ways, and always leaned on for support and inspiration. And he just continues to become more of a professional every single year. And he puts his hard hat on. He gets to work all off season long. You can see some of it on social media if you follow him. And he's it's not a surprise he's getting the production that he's getting because of the work he puts in, the commitment at the facility. He's one of the first guys here. He's here late into the afternoon, evening, and he's doing everything he needs to do for his body and his mind to prepare every game. So, hats off to him. I'm just so happy for him. I can't wait to have him on tonight. And we can certainly razz him about that punt return there. Because,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
It looked like there was 3 guys and only the punter to block, and somehow he made the tackle. So I don't know what happened there. I need to see a replay, but yeah, we'll definitely get on him for that, regardless of if it was his fault or not.
He knew that he wasn't getting a stat in the category on special teams tackles on punt team, but Simoni Lawrence, and obviously, it's not just the way he prepares and the way he goes about it, but it's the influence that he's going to have on players for years and years and years. And you think of this Ticats defense, their special teams, they are so young. You look at a Nick Cross or a Bailey Feltmate, Beverett, they're going to learn from him. They're going to see what it takes to be a pro and what it takes to become the all-time tacklers. And it's not just the incredible skill he has, but it's also the great amount of work he does outside of the football field, mentally, physically, to be ready in time for game day.
Totally. Totally. He's got the physical attributes. He puts the work in on the field, so he leads by example. He also is a guy who leads verbally. Has a big character, and he leads by example. He leads with his vocally, and he's also a guy that leads emotionally. And that's one of the things I love about him the most is you see somebody like Tundai getting a sack, and who's the first guy? Simoni's with a big hug, and you can feel the love in there, and that's contagious around the locker room. And that's what championship teams are built out of, is that love for each other, and that you call it like gelling or camaraderie or whatever you want to call it, that sticky stuff, the glue between the team, and he's just full of it. So just the ultimate competitor, professional, and well-deserving.
The Ticats will finish 2021 with just one player having a 100-yard receiving game, which, again, I go back and I think of, your seasons. I think of there was the year there were 3 different receivers for over 1,000 yards. I know Luke was one of them that year. But tonight was a great example of distributing the football all over the field. 8 different Ticats had at least a catch tonight, including 5 players who had at least 3 catches. And again, Speedy B, nice to see him find the end zone. Dunbar and Tim White is just proving it every day, every game, that he is a bona fide stud in this league right now.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. He's a future star. Like, there's just no doubt about it. The way he attacks the football in the air, his crisp route running, and then his aggressiveness and will after he catches the ball to get those extra yards and do whatever it takes to pick up the first down or give that spark. He's a fun guy to watch and has a ton of talent, and you can just see how he's going to be one of the guys in this league for years to come.
Sometimes the numbers don't tell the entire story, but one of them was the Ticats' time of possession 35 minutes, the Roughriders 25 minutes. How much of a factor is that when it comes to the final result of the game? I mean, obviously having the ball 10 minutes longer and winning by 21 points seems like they go together pretty handily, but is that always the case?
Well, not necessarily, but that's a surprising number to me, to be honest, because they had 10 more minutes or 8 more minutes in the first half, so Saskatchewan had the ball more in the second half.
They did run 22 more plays on offense. The Ticats did. The Ticats ran 67 plays on offense. The Roughriders just 45.
Yeah, well, regardless, then to answer your question and not just kind of give you the long-winded answer, the defense is going to get tired for the Roughriders. If you're running 67 plays against them, your defense is going to stay fresh. Time of possession, it's not that stat like turnovers that matters dramatically necessarily every time, but it is a stat, and it's a stat for a reason. And if you look down our stat list there of all the things we're kind of looking out for, we're looking at how many first downs, how many second down conversions, we're looking at how many plays, the rushing yards, the passing yards, the penalties. These are all important in different ways, and that's what makes, that's why football is such a complex sport, and it takes so many different pieces together to get a victory.
It takes all three phases. Coaches mentioned that, and I'm sure he'll have something to say about it tonight. You mentioned some of those stats, just to run them down for you. The Ticats had 27 first downs. Saskatchewan just 14. Ticats finished this game with 427 yards on offense. Total net yards, Saskatchewan 224. I think the one number that Coach is probably not too happy about, 10 penalties for 136 yards. We've seen the Ticats hit double digits in penalties. He's preached penalty-free football. This is a team that does push-ups when, the whole team does push-ups when there's a penalty in practice. They preach it. I have a feeling that out of all the numbers we're going to mention, Coach is really going to spot on that 10 penalties. You got to be more disciplined.
Yeah, and you always need to find something to sort of pull out of a game like this.
That's right.
But that's a legit concern. You don't want to be doing that in the playoffs. You got to clean that up right away, nip it in the butt, and move forward. But that you look at that 224 yards total net yards against, that's an impressive number, regardless of who you're playing against and in this league. So you keep up that defensive performance, that defensive pressure and containment. It's going to be tough to score points on this team.
Yeah, Tunde Adeleke was all over the field tonight. Just the one tackle, but he did have an interception. He did have a sack. Julian Hauser was fantastic tonight. He had a sack. Garrett Davis and Dylan Wynn. So almost everybody on that front line having an opportunity to find get their hands on the ball or get their hands on the quarterback. All right, let's name our player of the game, our performer of the game, presented by Hercules Tire. Ride on our strength, and we'll be talking to him in just a little bit. And it's Simoni Lawrence.
Simoni Lawrence. Sima.
5 tackles.
HOV.
5 tackles. He got 2 of them on the first 2 plays. I don't know if Coach had told him that you have to play until you beat this record, or if Coach was thinking of pulling him after 2 just to hold off until next season. But passing Rob Hitchcock for the Ticats all-time defensive tackles. I know we mentioned it, but very well deserving to be our performer of the game tonight, and presented by Hercules Tire. Ride on our strength. As mentioned, we'll hear from Simoni coming up. We're going to hear from head coach Orlando Steinauer as well. We'll revisit Andy's CarStar keys to victory. Is there a area of this game that, it's really tough because, like we said, I think the Ticats saw everything they wanted to see. Jeremiah had a great game. He bounced back strong. He was throwing the ball well. He was throwing the ball to where only his receivers could get it. I think maybe they probably wanted to get something going a little bit more on the ground. What did you make of that? They did run the ball almost actually 25 times, which is a lot for this Ticats team. 25 rushes. But what did you see from them?
Yeah, tough to nitpick the game plan and the execution of the play calling at all. I expected to see more of the personnel changes, to be honest, along the defensive line and linebacking crew, and then just across the board, really. I just expected to see more players getting a chance to get in there and show off what they can do, and we didn't see too much of that. Yeah. We saw a couple guys making a few plays, but. Yeah, tough to nitpick any of the play calling. They seemed to in total control all game. It's just yeah.
And to your point, there was a certain element of this game that you had to hold something back. You have to save something for Montreal or for Toronto or for a Grey Cup. You couldn't really show all your cards tonight as much as you probably wanted to see some different looks at different spots.
Yeah, and we also talked about showing something on purpose, and you saw Dane Evans do a little punt.
Yeah,
he was on third down in a quarterback in shotgun and just punted the ball. So regardless of whether that's serious or not, the other team might have to take a look at it and eat up some valuable practice time minutes next week.
All right, some exclusive access to the coaching room. Time to check in with Coach Orlando Steinauer, presented by Access Storage. And Coach, you got to be pleased with the way your team performed out there tonight.
Yeah, like usual, it's going to be hard to complain on wins from here on out. So definitely we didn't play our perfect game, but we did what we had to do. Definitely proud of them.
Coach, we've talked before about discipline issues and then balancing it with being able to stand up for yourself. 10 penalties, 136 yards. Is this a concern for you at all moving into the playoffs?
I don't even focus on it right now, to be honest with you. Like, right now, it's one game. Like, nobody's going to get in our joy bucket right now. It's something we got to clean up 100%. But right now, after the game, we're just not even focused on it.
To that point, you knew going into this game you'd be hosting the East Final against Montreal. How do you flick the switch? I know you asked you this earlier in the week. Like, you seem to say you're going to let the team enjoy this, but I have to imagine you got to get back to work pretty quick.
Yep, we're going to have a couple of days and whatnot, but we are. We'll be preparing and just focusing, what's down the road. Like, we got to definitely turn the page, as you alluded to. But again, these guys work hard each time. They know what's ahead of them. So does the staff. The hardest work is still ahead of us, but we'll tackle that starting tomorrow.
Very good. Coach, I didn't see as many personnel changes as I expected, and not a necessarily good thing or a bad thing, but was that a coaching choice or was that a player choice to keep most of the starters in there in the second half?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, our roster was pretty much set. Moving into the game, we were aware of obviously what happened and what the result was. But at that point, shuffling ratios and rosters, it just wasn't in the cards for us. And we kind of have the same approach as we do in preseason that, you can't control if somebody's going to get injured or what's going to happen, right? If you could, then you would always choose perfectly when to play people. So we don't live in fear, and I was proud of them. Nobody complained. Everybody wanted to go out there and play. So that's kind of how that whole went down.
Coach, I know I've asked you about number 21 about at least 21 times this season, but I know what you've said about him, but to actually see him to get over Rob Hitchcock's mark there, and just everything he's done this season, just your thoughts on Simoni's record-breaking night tonight.
Well, it's well-deserved. It's something that does come along in the ultimate team sport. I'm not, overly excited about individual accolades, but people work hard and they should be noticed. And he's really just deserving of it. I know it's an understatement, but, anybody that ever have seen Simoni practice or prepare knows that he doesn't leave a lot to chance. Like, he's ultra competitive and a self-starter. And, I could go on for 5 minutes about him. He's a great teammate. He represents Hamilton. He cares a ton. And I know that one day he's going to reflect and be very proud of himself. But I think he'd be the first to tell you that he has bigger goals with his teammates this season.
Love that analysis, Coach.
Does the mindset change, or do you have a test at the end of next week that you're really excited about?
I'd love to answer it. Not sure what you mean with the mindset.
Just
change.
With the playoffs. Like, now that you're done, you leave the regular season, records don't mean anything at this point. Like, does anything change from the way you prepared this week to the way you're going to prepare next week other than the opponent?
Well, not collectively. We're kind of set on how we prepare. It's not just another game. It's an elimination game. So you would hope that the players would turn one more page, ask one more question, hold each other accountable just a little bit more, just because of the care factor. But overall, we don't scrap our regular season preparation and start something brand new. We're kind of grooved now in a routine. We won't leave anything to chance. And then, ultimately, you have to kick the ball off. So preparation starts, and that leads to confidence. But eventually, they're going to kick the ball off, and you got to execute.
Coach, appreciate you doing this. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Great season.
Absolutely.
So far.
So far, still more to go. Thanks, Coach O. That is exclusive access to the coaching room presented by Access Storage. And I was going to throw one more Coach O-ism at him at the end. And, but he kind of set it off the top. They're still striving for that perfect game. The perfect game of football hasn't been played yet. It was a pretty near perfect first half, though, for the Ticats, which, again, I think considering the way Friday went last week, going into the playoffs, you wanted some momentum. I asked Coach about it earlier this week, how much can you buy into momentum? And he had said, not much in this game because we didn't play well. But the Montreal Alouettes are going to be coming off a heartbreaking loss where they had the game late. They were up by 7 in the final couple of minutes, under the 3-minute warning. Both of these teams heading to the East semifinal, coming into this game in very different directions. Very pleased now to be going down to the locker room and connect with Simoni Lawrence. This exclusive post-game interview is presented by Access Storage. And before we get to Simoni, just a reminder that we did name him our performer of the game. He had 5 tackles, but on the third tackle, he passed Rob Hitchcock. And very pleased now to be joined by Simoni. And Sim, congratulations, man. I think I've seen about 598 of your 607 tackles, 610 tackles. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Sim, how satisfying is it to finish off the season in dominant form like this and just feel like, you got the whole everything rolling going into the playoffs?
This is what we wanted. We wanted to go in the playoffs with a W, for the franchise, and then host its home playoff game in Hamilton, so it feels good.
Sim, talk about some of the guys you played with on defense tonight. I mean, it seemed like Tunde was all over the field. Of course, Joe and Cam were everywhere, too. It just seemed like defensively this was one of your best games this season as a unit.
Yeah, the guys were flying around from every single level, from the defensive line to the linebacker to the defensive backs. Everybody was just flying around making plays. It was exciting to watch everybody go so hard. It's about that time, and I think everybody's tapped in and is aware of it.
Sim, we just talked to Coach O, and I thought he put it very, very eloquently, actually. He said that collectively your prep's not going to change as a group going into the playoffs, but on an individual level and a player level, you said maybe you're going to turn one extra page, ask one more question, hold each other accountable. Isn't that so true as a player? Just that care level goes up a bit next week, and just how does your mindset change going into the playoffs?
It's all we got. We don't get another chance after this. You lose or you go home. So it's one of those things where you're going to give it your all. It doesn't matter there's no tomorrow. That saying, play like there's no tomorrow. Well, there is no tomorrow. Now it's time to see what people really do with it.
Sim, when was the last time you played special teams in a game?
I don't know. What do you mean? I'm on some special teams.
What happened to the punter?
Pappy White got tackled by a punter. What happened there?
Oh man, I didn't go next level fast enough, huh?
We're
inside and upfield, man. Yeah. You know that. Come on.
I got 2 players here. Look, I got pressured to ask that question there, Sim. But hey, congratulations, man. Your name living in the Ticats record books, the all-time team tackler. Obviously, you're one of the best to ever do it, and it's been an honor to get to watch you and to get to continue to watch you. So congrats, man.
Yeah. No worries. Thank
Sim,
you. I appreciate it.
I told Louie to ask you what your record is in Monopoly, but we didn't get to that one.
I kick it. I just want you guys to know I kick Andy's ass in Monopoly every time we play, and he still hasn't invited me over to his house because I send him home to his wife crying every single time.
Oh man, I love it.
Game nights are intense among teammates. Sim, enjoy this win. I know you guys got a lot of work next week, so thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Have a great one.
You too. That's Simoni Lawrence. He's our performer of the game, presented by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength. And, I mean, his name's going to be in the record book. That's going to be a tough number. The way careers go now, you need longevity, you need skill, you need luck. But there was one thing Coach had said that anybody who watches Simoni Lawrence practice, and I say that as someone who is not on the practice field, probably watches more practice than just about anybody. Simoni Lawrence hasn't taken a practice off. He hasn't taken a vet day. He doesn't take reps off. He's somebody who treats every single time he's on the field like it's his last, or it's going to be his last. And it really shows in the passion he brings to the game.
Yeah, he's a self-starter, as Coach put it. He doesn't leave anything to chance, and those are just great compliments for any player, and especially for the, arguably the best player in your team, the leader of your defense, and that becomes contagious throughout the ranks or throughout the locker room, and that's how you start to develop these younger guys in a faster rate because they're looking up to such professionals like Simoni Lawrence.
At FenderGuy69, Mark Fulton, he tweeted in, he says, once again, I'm not the player of the game for the Ticats. I swear Louie B hates me. Can you confirm Jim Taddy? No comment. No comment on that one, Fulty. Let's get our post-game roundtable with Courtney Stephen. He's here at the desk here on the fourth floor at Tim Hortons Field, the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. And, Court, you played with Sim.
I did.
A couple years.
You
were in the room.
With Sim on the road. That's my road dog right there.
What does it mean to see him tonight?
Man,
beat that record?
It's funny what the coach says, but, team success is prerequisite to individual success, and it's a credit to him, to his durability, his staying power. And I think it's more about what he represents for this town, because you could be as good as the next guy, but in order for someone to stick around with one team for so long and continue to make plays, it's got to be a little bit of give and take. Not every single day you show up at the office is a great day like today. And so he's been through losses. Like, we went out to Calgary one time, got our butts kicked, and a lot of people lost their jobs after that. We've been through storms, but he's a guy who weathered it, and this is what you get when you're tough and you persevere.
To that point, the guy's got battle scars. Like, we've talked about adversity throughout the year, but Jeremiah, Speedy, guys you guys played with in tough games, you almost want to see them win it just for everything you guys had been through as a team together.
Yeah, and you do, and I like how you use the word legacy, and his legacy will be left in the record book, top tackler in Ticat history. But it's the things he does, even in the community, and the guys who play with them. That legacy is there automatically just because of who he is and how he is, what kind of teammate he is. But you look around this community in the city of Hamilton, and he's continuing to always be Hamilton proud and out there in the trenches and connecting with young kids and just doing whatever he can to sort of use his platform for a positive reason. And that's just demands the ultimate respect and hats off to a guy like that.
Courtney, he's certainly not a reluctant superstar. He knows his role, but he does it so well. And someone in the press box had said something about him being, the most despised player outside of Hamilton. That's not true. Fans might have that, just because he talks trash. But you look at the way other guys talk to him on the sidelines after the game, the people who come up to him, guys he's played with, he is so respected among players around the league.
Well, when you see somebody shining under the spotlight and you're on the other sideline, it's easy to point the finger at that person and say, man, you blew out my birthday candles on my cake, and you ruined the party. I don't like that guy. And Simoni's the kind of person who he goes out to every stadium, and he's the same person. He puts on a show. He wants to entertain. He wants to interact with fans. He wants to interact with the other team. Yeah. And that's what the people want to see, man. This is an entertainment business, and those who shine brightest are the ones who the fans love to buy their jerseys and follow them on Instagram, because it's entertainment at the end of the day. He's a great entertainer.
Your thoughts on the game, Court? There wasn't too much we can take from it. Jeremiah Masoli, though, in the first half. Just what did you take away from the 60 minutes of football we watched?
Man, when I put my my coaching hat on, my analyst hat on, I got to look at it and say, you expect to win this game. Straight up and down, you come in here and it's like, guys, if we don't win this one, we're going to have some serious looking in the mirror to do. I think that the Ticats needed the momentum. They needed an opportunity to see some looks against live opponents, and they got that. Now, was it the cleanest victory? Absolutely not. There was some blown coverages here and there that are probably going to be brought up in the meeting room, but for us, the casual observer, we're not going to highlight those because they won. And so, certain things that the coaches know they have to tune up for what great opponent that they're going to see in the coming weeks. Those things are going to be hammered out for sure. But little stuff like motion behind the line of scrimmage at the last second, throwing a scrape route to the flat, and now you have two guys on the outside of a block. If it's a great receiver, he's turning it up inside. That's a first down, and you have to get those things hammered out. So I think they did great, in certain areas, but it's easy to gloss over those blemishes in a win. I know that the coaches are going to be tough on them in the meeting room.
Yeah, Tunde, a position well, free safety. Tunde was named the team's most outstanding Canadian. It's his numbers. He did have the interception. He did have the sack. He just had the one tackle. But what did you make from Tunde tonight, this season? How important is he to the rest of the guys around him in that secondary?
Hey, I got to tell you, Tunde is taking a step. He's taking a step to reach the next level of productivity and leadership and playmaking in this league. I'm really proud of the way that he's growing and coming into his own, because it takes a certain level of confidence to step into some of these plays. There's one thing when they lob the ball up and it's 50-50, you jump and you catch it when no one's around you. It's a whole nother thing for you to step in front of a receiver breaking on a dig and pick it off coming against the grain. And he did that tonight. I was very happy to see it because, when you have a guy back there in the middle roaming the center who's commanding hash to hash, it changes what the other team's offense can do for you. So it's great to see him coming along. And, hey, look at my watch. It's time for playmakers to show up, man. So he's right where he needs to be.
What about Tim White on the offensive side? What have you seen from him that's really impressive?
It's so crazy to me that he's been so productive, and yet there hasn't been more 100-yard games, because I think he's a guy who's got a great mix of skills. He's got speed. The routes are good. His hands are obviously great. But they spread the ball so well in this offense, and it's really sharing is caring in this offense. Tommy does a good job of just getting it to positions and not necessarily players. And I think Tim does a great job of being in the right spot. And you got two quarterbacks. If you can be reliable, it makes it easier for either person to step in and know that the person at this spot is going to be where they need to be. He's been on the better side of a lot of those plays.
I should have called up our statistician here in Greg Hood, because I'm just going back here and checking the Ticats' last few games here. Week 13, Tim White led the team in receiving yards. Week 14, it was Brandon Banks. Last week, it was Acklin or Tim White again, and then it's just that's really impressive to see, is that, the Ticats don't have a lot of 100-yard receiving games, but any receiver can step up, and I thought Stephen Dunbar Jr., talk about someone taking a step to the next level. Stephen Dunbar Jr. looked really good out there for all the same reasons we've said about Tim White. And Steve Milton pointed this out in the press box. He's got size, and that's something the Ticats haven't had, is a receiver who can go up and get the ball and win those 50-50s with his size.
Yeah, it's great to have guys that you can count on, and they're continuing to build their confidence. You're going to go against a couple secondaries in the coming weeks. Well, one start with one at a time here, but that are tall. They have length, they have size, and so you need the guys to go attack the football. And whether that's coming back to the ball, jumping up for it at high point, Dunbar is a guy that's doing that, and he had a lot of contested catches tonight, or catches that he made. He made the catch and got a pretty big, violent hit right away, and held on to the ball and continued to produce. So you got to love that grittiness, that warrior instinct going into the playoffs. So he's another one like Tim, and of course you got an experienced vet like Speedy, and then Jalen Acklin is he's gritty too. So you got something on that?
Man, I was just gonna say, each of these receivers, I think, they're cerebral, and that's something that we got to give them credit for too, because when you look at the route concepts that the Ticats run, if you drew the lines on paper, these aren't your standard routes. They're late bending routes, wrapping around defenders, just finding space. That signature sail route, that deep out that sort of gains ground towards the sideline and finds that naked void in the back behind where the corner would have kind of been. But if the corner sinks back too far, then the shallow flat is open. And if the safety is out too far, then they throw it inside. It's just, you have to know football to be in this offense. And I think that's what we're seeing is guys who know football and they run to the space.
And this is a credit to Jared Baines, first-year wide receiver coach for the Ticats. And this coaching staff, we always talk about Coach O, we always talk about Tommy, Coach Washington, but positional coaches, Coach Ross or Coach Butts in the secondary and on special teams, they're really all coming together and they're playing their. But like this was probably the best we've seen. That was the best half I've seen the Ticats play in a very long time. That first half, and I think that goes a long way. Courtney, how did your mindset change from regular season to playoffs? It's such a quick turnaround. Did anything change for you?
To be completely honest with you, I think at this point in the season, you've been in the playoffs for like 3 weeks already.
Yeah.
And there's something different when you walk in the stadium and, everybody is going to be wearing black. You know that in the air it's like some guys are going to be getting on a flight and going home for a few months after this one. So, of course, there's something different. But like O was saying, man, it's not really a cliche. When you get down to the back end of the season, guys are already putting in extra time, extra reps because they know what's at stake. So you're dialed in, man, and you just continue to ramp it up a little bit more every game.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what the Ticats do. Coach said they were going to take a couple of days. With the game being on Sunday, day one wouldn't be until Wednesday. Andy, I want to get your opinion on this. If you were on this team, would you be banking on a day zero practice on Tuesday, or do you think Coach might give you the couple of days off for day one on Wednesday?
I would prefer to do a Monday to myself.
Yeah,
I would like to have tomorrow off. Monday, come in and watch the film and have a practice, have a workout, and put in the game plan for day one for Montreal. But then get another day off where you're bound to be coming in anyways and watching film and doing what you got to do to get ready. But I prefer like a day on, day off, and then the 3-day week instead of having a 4-day week. I think that's always a bit much, but
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the Ticats do. Not much we can really take away from this. More that we haven't already. Saskatchewan looked pretty good. By the way, before we get to Andy's CarStar keys to victory, I want to let you know we're giving away a pair a day. Giving away a pair a day on Ticats today. That rhymes really well. For the East Division semifinals. Listen to Ticats Today, Monday to Friday this week for more chances to win tickets. And because I'm feeling so generous, let's give away a pair right now. A pair of gold seats to see the Ticats take on the Alouettes in the East Division semifinals at Tim Hortons Field next Sunday. Send us an email at gameday@ticats.ca. That's gameday@ticats.ca. Put the keywords
Simoni Lawrence in the subject line.
Put the keywords Simoni Lawrence. It should be easy since we've talked about him all post-game. Put the keyword Simoni Lawrence in the subject line. Tell us your name and the city in which you live inside the email. It's that simple. And to allow those who are listening live on the stream, as well as in podcast form, to enter, the entry deadline is noon on Sunday, November 21st. And then we'll randomly pick from all the entries. But don't worry, if you don't win Sunday, you can listen every day, Monday to Friday, to Ticats Today, where we'll be giving away a pair a day on Ticats Today.
A pair a day on Ticats Today. That's good.
Giving away a pair a day on Ticats Today.
Yeah.
5 times. Seriously. All right, let's revisit your CarStar keys to victory, Andy. What do you have for number one?
Let's do it. Number one was get everyone involved, and we did see Dane and Mazzoli split the time. We didn't see as many personnel changes as I personally expected, but certainly spread the ball around nicely on offense, and on defense it was a collective effort to get the job done. There were a number of players with sacks, pass deflections, tackles, very, very well-distributed game overall statistically, so I'm going to give that one a big thumbs up.
Yeah, 6 different Ticats players rushing the ball, 8 different Ticats receiving the ball, including Tyler Turnowski. Good local boy getting out there and making a catch for 8 yards there in the fourth quarter. So a big thumbs up across the board on number one. What'd you have for number two?
Number two was play fundamentally sound. And other than, a couple miscues there, like Courtney was mentioning, and some of the discipline areas in the penalty game, I'm still going to give that one a thumbs up. I thought they played fairly basic concept football, and they're doing a lot of zone today on defense, and some guys were making catches in the middle of the field, but guys weren't making the big play. Wasn't there for them, and the tackling, only a couple missed tackles that I can remember off the top of my head, and offensively, pretty fundamentally sound football, so I'm going to give that one a thumbs up also.
Yeah, and they protected the football, which is, again, when you talk about fundamentals, you want to control the football. You mentioned the weather being a little bit different, getting used to playing in this kind of conditions, and if you're protecting the football, I guess that kind of helps for Carstar. Key to victory number 3.
Win the turnover battle, and yes, 4-2 in favor of the Cats. 2 interceptions in the second half for the Cats, so you don't want to see that. But other than that, 4 turnovers, 4 is a big factor in whether you're going to win or lose, and you can continue that going against Montreal. Chances are looking good.
Well, I don't have this stat in front of me now, but we know when the Ticats win the turnover battle, or in the games the Ticats have won, their turnover ratio is ridiculous, something like plus 20 or something like that. So that number, I'm sure, will go up. Courtney, final thoughts tonight, moving forward, looking towards the East semifinals next week.
It's a 24-hour rule. Celebrate this one, but you got a big opponent coming up. And Montreal's got some receivers who go up and snatch that thing out of the air. It's not going to be laid out on a silver platter, so there's work to do. But you know what? Ticats came out and did what they were supposed to do tonight, so cheers to them.
Andy, final thoughts? Turning the page towards the postseason.
Yeah, the Montreal Alouettes are a dangerous team. They just got Trevor Harrison. He played a couple good games of football other than the second half last night, and he's dangerous. He's been there before. He's won a Grey Cup before. He has those weapons, as Courtney mentioned, and then defensively, the Alouettes are just getting stronger every week, and the Cats have had some success and some struggles against them. So it's going to be whoever. Both teams are going to want to win. It's going to be whoever shows up and executes, and both teams will be mentally and physically prepared. It's about that will to win and who's got more effort and who can execute.
Coach won't admit it, but I will. I'm looking forward to changing my mindset as the playoffs kick off next week, as we say goodbye to our first regular season here on the Ticats Audio Network. It's been a lot of fun working alongside you here, buddy.
It has been. Yeah,
well,
it's been a pleasure.
Luckily we get at least one more game, hopefully a few more here on the Ticats Audio Network. The final score: the Hamilton Tiger Cats beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders by a score of 24-3. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our technician, Michael Steyer, our audio editor, David Butko, statistician, Greg Howd, features Tracy Lynn, RJ Luke, and, of course, executive producer Dave Cadeau. For Courtney Stephen, Andy Fantuz, I'm Louie B. We'll be back for Tiger Cats pregame presented by Active Green and Ross on November 28th as the Ticats and Alouettes meet in the Eastern semifinals.